Hi, welcome back again. So today we are going to discuss about health and safety policy. The health and safety policy is divided into three sections, and this is the foundation of health and safety management system. So what are the three sections? It is statement of intent, organization section, arrangement section. So these are the three sections we'll see in detail. And if you want to remember this easily, you can remember the first letter of each section, that is S O A, and you can add P also. So if you can remember SOAP, then you can easily bring out the points over here for the three sections of health and safety policy. That is statement of intent, organization section, arrangement section for the policy. So first we'll discuss about statement of intent. So what is statement of intent? Statement of intent is simple. It's nothing but it is a top management commitment. So what it will have? It is said as health and safety policy, or it is said as management commitment document, and it will be having aims and objectives of the organization. So if you take the aims and objectives, the aims remains unchanged during the review process of the health and safety policy, whereas the objectives will be reviewed every year. To achieve those aims, what are the targets which you fix? Those are the objectives. So targets, again, when we discuss about the targets, you need to consider or remember one thing, which is a SMART target. Whatever the targets you fix, the targets must be SMART. It should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time bound. So these are the this is how you set a target. For example, zero accident may be a target for your organization, or to reduce the number of enforcement notices received from the enforcement authority. This could be a target which you can set for your organization, or you can set targets like covering all the risk assessment, or it can be covering all the specific number you can give. 10 risk assessment, 15 risk assessment within 2 months time, 3 months time. So this is how you set targets for your organization. And the policy may be written down in a simple language so that it can be easily understandable, and the employees can understand what is a management commitment. It can be further broken down into bullet points so that it will be easy for you to read a sentence. If it is a lengthy document, if it is a lengthy paragraph, then people will not read the entire document. So it should be made as a simple bullet points so that it will be easy for them to read as well. And coming to the authority of the top management. So the policy must be signed by the senior most person in the organization. It may be signed by the CEO or the managing director. So why it should be signed by the CEO or the managing director? To show their commitment. That is the first important thing which we discussed earlier. The management has to show their commitment towards health and safety, and they are ultimately responsible towards health and safety of the organization. So that is the reason it should be signed by the CEO or managing director, and it should be dated as well. The policy must be dated so that you will get an idea when this policy has been developed and when is next review date falls. So for this, the policy must be dated. Think you're clear with the statement of intent. So we'll go with the next section, organization section. So what this section deals? This section deals with the roles and responsibilities of each individuals within the organization through a reporting line of structure, or you may call it as hierarchy, which is framed in an organization, and who is responsible for what are their responsibilities. For example, if you take the CEO, what is his responsibility? Or if you take the managing director, what is his responsibility? If you take the general manager, what is his responsibility? If you take the supervisor, what is his responsibility? Or if you think about the workers, what are their roles and responsibilities? So here we discuss about roles and responsibilities of everyone who are involved in the organization. There are specific responsibilities as well. For example, if you take a first aider, or if you take a fire warden, so what they do in an event of an emergency situation. So that is organization section. And arrangement section. So this section we call it as one of the lengthiest section of the health and safety policy. So what this section deals? So this section deals with the specific systems and procedures that are required to implement the policy. So what are the systems you have? What are the procedures you have in place to implement the policy. So we'll see some examples. You will get an idea of the arrangements, what all the arrangements you have to do for your organization to implement the policy successfully. So these are the few examples of arrangements. If you take the first one, an overview of the organization's risk assessment. So what are the different types of risk assessments you carried out for your organization? It may be covering your physical hazards, it may be covering your biological hazards, it may be covering your chemical hazards. So put together, what are the different types of risk assessments you have in place? And the emergency procedures to deal with the emergency situation could be a fire or it could be a chemical spillage. Fire procedures in the event of fire, what your organization, what all the arrangements you have in place. It can be your emergency escape routes, or it can be your fire alarm systems, or it can be the sprinkler systems, manual call points, compartmentation. So many things can be included in the fire arrangements. And the safe system of work. So what all documents you have, that is method statement, or you call it as standard operating procedures. And next is permit to work system. So what are the different types of high risk activities involved in your organization and how you're going to control those risks with the help of the permit. So what are the different types of permits you have? Example, hot work permit, cold work permit, or it can be confined space, electrical systems, machinery maintenance. Different types of permits are there. And accident and injury procedure. In the event of an accident, in the event of an injury, what you're going to do, how you're going to deal with the situation. So these are the arrangements. Then training and training programs and needs. So you need to do a training need analysis. So what are the trainings required for your employees, when you're going to give, in what time frame you're going to give that, in what time duration, and monitoring, how you're going to monitor the performance of the organization. So these are all few general arrangements, and there are a few specific arrangements as well. If you take specific arrangements, it can be hazards encountered during maintenance work when you carry out a heavy machinery maintenance, and what are the possible hazards which can be associated during that particular work. So how you're going to deal with those hazards. So what type of arrangements you have in place. And work carried out by contractors, because when the contractors enter into your workplace, they bring a lot of hazards. So you need to have specific arrangements in place to deal with the work which is carried out by the contractor. And what about plant shutdown periods? So during plant shutdown periods, what all the arrangements you have in place. And shift changeover periods. So this is applicable for most of the industries where they'll be working in different shifts. So what are the procedures or what are the arrangements you have in place for shift changeover? Then power cuts. So during power failure, how you're going to deal with the situation. And in the event of any equipment failure, so what the company arrangements are in place to deal with the equipment failure. So these are the specific arrangements which are associated with the arrangement section. That's why we call the arrangement section as a detailed, or it is one of the lengthiest section of the health and safety policy. These are all few examples. Apart from that, if you want to include any arrangements which you want to introduce for your workplace to implement the health and safety policy, which can be absolutely written over here. So if you have any questions, you can get back to us on the following email ID, that is inquiry@poshsolutions.com, or alternatively you can get in touch with our tutors on the numbers provided here. Thank you once again.